provides local disk redundancy. It's a high availability solution. Fault tolerant server. So when the primary server fails, backup server resumes services. The feature of this is distributed processing. It distributes load over multiple servers. If server fails, remaining servers attempt to carry the full load. A sort of like how the cloud technologies works today. SAN or storage area network. It's a disk network that supports remote backups, data sharing, data migration between different geographical locations. After a brief about RAID, let's come back to network disaster recovery, which is again we go back to the BCP DRP process. Now this is a graphical or pictorial representation of how a network disaster recovery happens. There are several components. One is redundancy. What it includes? Routing protocols, failover, multi-paths. So with redundancy, if one part fails, another part can take over. Then there is alternate routing or diverse routing. Diverse routing means one provider but multiple routes. Alternate routing means multiple network providers or multiple mediums. Mediums is like fiber, or through cable, radio. Then last mile protection. If everything else fails, you have microwave or cable. You have long haul network diversity, that is redundant network service providers. Then voice recovery, voice communication backup. So with a little bit of RAID and network disaster recovery, we'll conclude this and go to cloud computing, where we'll discuss about different modes of BCP. We have seen what is cloud computing in Dr. Kamakuti's class, but just to refresh your knowledge, let's see what is cloud computing. Cloud is nothing, computing is nothing but a shared pool of configurable computing resources. What are the computing resources? Servers, application, databases, the services that are offered, the computers, the network. So these are all the shared pool of configurable computing resources. Why is cloud? Because it can be rapidly customized and released with minimal management effort or minimal effort from the part of service provider. So any user within the network is allowed the access to the shared configurable resources after providing sufficient authentication. Once the authentication is approved or recognized by the system, the user is able to access the customized resources. Here, that means the resources that are allocated to him or the resources which he needs to work on. Basically, you can say need to know, need to do basis. We have different cloud deployment models, like a private cloud which is dedicated to one organization, a community cloud where several organizations with shared concerns share the common facilities, a public cloud which is available to the public or a large industry group, hybrid cloud, two or more clouds. It can be a combination of private, community or public, which remain distinct but are bound together by standardized or proprietary technology. There are major security concerns in cloud also. One is multi-tenancy. Your application is on the same server with other organizations. So you need segmentation. You need to be isolated. You need a policy which governs the service provider and for the access. Then the physical location of the cloud service provider, which is for your servers itself. In which country will the data reside? What regulations affect the data? Proper SLA should be there. SLA should define performance, the security policy, availability, backup, location, compliance issues, audit issues or right to audit clause, your coverage. Total security is your portion plus your service provider portion. So the responsibility varies actually from infrastructure as a service versus platform as a service versus software as a service. You can transfer the security responsibility to the vendor, but not the accountability. Ultimately, the data or the processing is done by you and your employees. Now let's see alternative recovery strategies. Again, we come back to BCP. Now, we saw what, or in brief, we saw what is hot site, warm site, cold site, redundant information processing facility, reciprocal agreement, mobile site. Let's see that in detail. Now, hot site is a fully configured, ready to operate facility. That means it can be ready within a matter of hours. Warm site is ready to operate within days. It will generally not have power, or it will have low power, and it will contain disks, networks, peripherals, etc. Cold site will be ready to operate within weeks. It will just contain your basic electrical wiring, air conditioning, flooring, etc. No computers, nothing will be there. It will be a bare facility. Duplicate or redundant information processing facility. It is also called a standby hot site within the organization. You can say the backup server is there within the organization itself. Reciprocal agreement with another organization or another division at another location. Then mobile site. It is fully or partially configured trailer that comes to your site with microwave or satellite communication. I'm sure many of you would have seen that certain banks in India have this facility where mobile ATMs are there with a satellite link or a microwave link. They go to different areas within the city where the user can access the ATM, can do certain transactions through the kiosk which is available within the mobile units. So that is a mobile site. What is a hot site? We have seen that. But there are contractual costs which go along with the hot site. There will be a basic subscription charge, a monthly fee, testing charge, activation charge, and hourly or daily service usage charge. So there are different modes of having the contractual obligations or contractual agreement with the vendor. Contractual issues will include other subscriber access, meaning in the event of a natural disaster, whether the vendor gives the facility to another subscriber also. Does it affect our operation? Then at what speed of access he can give, how fast can he give the access? The configurations, how fast can it be done? What staff assistance will be available? Staff assistance will be available. Whether the organization can audit and test the vendor's facility. And then basically a hot site is very expensive mode of alternate processing. It should be used only for emergency and not as a long-term prospect. Now if the organization feels that the recovery is going to take longer than expected, then they may choose warm site or cold site for extended duration, or the vendor may provide or offer warm or cold site for extended duration. Reciprocal agreements, the basic advantage is low cost. That is, you collaborate or corroborate with another organization to perform your alternate processing along with them. But there may be problems there, like quick access, then compatibility of computer, the software, the hardware, the resource availability of computer itself, availability of adequate network, availability of staff, priority of the visitor, which visitor gets precedence, whether it is the subscriber who is going to do whether it is the company that is hosting your company or your visitors. Security, less of a problem if it is the same organization because you know what to expect. Then it has to be tested to see the suitability and adequacy. But then a reciprocal site also is susceptible to the same disasters. And you can't stay there forever. So the length of welcome stay is another issue. So now we have looked at various things. Let's see what the BC processes, the business continuity processes. We have seen what a BIA is. So first we do a business impact analysis. Then we prioritize services to support critical business processes. We determine alternate processing mode for critical and vital services. We develop the disaster recovery plan for information systems recovery. We develop a BCP for business operations continuity and recovery. Then we have to test the plans, maintain the plans to reflect changes which have happened in the organization since the document was made. Let's look at some simple questions on BCP. Now, the first question is amount of data transactions that are allowed to be lost following a computer failure, that is, duration of orphan data, is 1. The RTO, 2. RPO, 3. Service delivery objective, 4. Maximum tolerable outage. Now, the answer for this is 2. The next question is when the RTO is large, this is associated with 1. Critical applications, 2. Speedy alternate recovery strategy, 3. Sensitive or non-sensitive services, and 4. Extensive restoration plan. The answer for this is 3 because large RTOs means the application can run manually with little problem for an extended period of time. This is associated with the services classified as sensitive or non-sensitive. The third question, when the RPO is very short, the best solution is 1. A cold site, 2. Mirroring, data mirroring, 3. Detailed and efficient disaster recovery plan, 4. An accurate BCP. The answer is 2. Data mirroring, because RPO requires recovery of data that is gathered in the past immediately. Therefore, the correct answer is data mirroring here or using redundant disks. RAID. Now let's take a look at data storage protection. We have already seen what RAID is, so you have a fair bit of idea how the RAID operates. Let's see the requirements for data storage protection or backup storage. If you look at the slide here, the backup rotation, it's called grandfather, father and son. If you see grandfather, it is monthly, December 13, January 14, February 14, etc. The father is April 30th, May 6th, May 13th, May 20th. So there is a gap of 7 days in the backup. Grandfather is monthly, father is weekly. The son is May 21, May 22, May 23. So it's a daily backup. The sun, the disk rotates in the sun backup. The disk rotates 7 times or 7 disks are continuously rotated. In the father mode of backup, 4 to 5 tapes are rotated with the oldest being overlaid. Overlaid means overwritten. Grandfather is monthly. So 12 or 24 tapes can maintain a monthly history for 1 or 2 years, again depending upon the organization's requirement. Then there is incremental and differential backup. If a failure occurs on Thursday, what needs to be reloaded for the full differential and incremental backup? Which methods take longer to backup or which methods take longer to reload? Now, all this can be addressed by this. Now, if you take the picture above, the daily events, Monday is a full backup, Tuesday A changes, Wednesday B changes, Thursday C changes, Friday there's a full backup. So again, if you see on the right hand side, the 3 columns, Monday it is a full backup and there is a differential backup and incremental backup happening on Monday. On Tuesday, it saves A, incremental also saves A. Wednesday B changes, so in differential backup, it saves A plus B. Thursday C changes, so in differential backup, A plus B plus C changes. And Friday, of course, a full backup happens. So you basically need to understand the difference between incremental and differential backup. Now, in incremental backup, you have seen it saves A, it saves B, it saves C. In differential backup, it saves A plus B and then it saves A plus B plus C. There is no use of taking a backup if proper labeling is not done. So, a sample backup labeling is shown here. The backup can be a disk, a tape, a DVD, depending upon the requirements. It should at least have a dataset name, which may be the master inventory. It should have a serial number, volume serial number. It could be the date, or disk number, when it was created, and what is the accounting period. We can always say 14, 15. See, here it is third week, first quarter of 2014. Then offsite storage within January 2014. So you should have a proper labeling system to identify what was taken. There should also be proper restoration testing done. Many organizations take backup on a daily basis, but they fail to check whether any data has been written to the tape. So the backup testing is not done. So that is a very important and crucial aspect. So restoration testing requires time. It needs additional resources in terms of computer. It needs additional manpower, but it has to be done. What they use if the data is not written on your tape or your disk or on your SAN, and at the time of an incident, when you want to recover it, you find that there is nothing there. So the backup, all these processes have to be done, plus the restoration testing have to be done diligently. It's always a good practice to keep one copy of the backup offsite. It's better if it is more than one. And the offsite location should be sufficiently far away. That means the location should not be prone to the same disaster that could happen here. Library is equally secure as the main site. Now there's something written called unlabeled. The basic idea of this is to prevent people from knowing that you have kept a backup there. You have kept a backup there. So there used to be checklists from the regulatory bodies which specifically ask, is the data center location identifiable, or is the backup location or backup library facility identifiable? That is for the reason that if the location is easily identifiable, there could be multiple levels of threats coming into that facility to steal data, to corrupt the data, to exploit your network. So your library also should be equally secure as your main site. Then your backup library or your disaster recovery site or your offsite should have a constant environmental control. That is, your temperature and humidity control should be there. The UPS, the smoke detectors, water detectors, fire extinguishers, as much as you have or as much as you have installed in your main site, the same facility, the backup facility also should have similar infrastructure. And then a proper inventory of the storage media and the files should be maintained, which is very important. Otherwise, you will not know what is available in the backup site. We have spoken about BCP. We have spoken about BRP. We have spoken about RAID, the backup facilities. Now, how do you test all this? Disaster recovery testing, how do you do it? Take an example that an incident occurs. Now, the activity diagram here shows that some events can happen in parallel, including all the tasks on the right. In some cases, there is a security committee, and anyone on the committee can decide that a disaster has occurred. If you see this, it says the emergency response team. The first concern is the human life. Call the security officer or the committee. Security officer declares a disaster. The security officer follows pre-established protocol, whom to contact, whether it is the police, the fire, the ambulance. Then the IT follows the disaster recovery plan. The management and legal counsel act if there is a legal violation happening or if there is a legal liability. The public relation interacts with the media or interfaces to the media. So everybody doesn't go and talk about the incident. Then the phone tree notifies relevant participants. So there will be a escalation procedure where it will be specified whom to contact, when, how. So the phone tree notifies relevant participants. What are the contents of the DR? Now the basic thing is pre-incident readiness should be there. That means you will have to do mock tests and be ready or be prepared for a situation which can have an undesirable effect. What process should be followed or how to declare a disaster? What are the evacuation procedures? Most of the offices have fire extinguishers. They have FM 200 based fire extinguishers. They have the fire extinguishers hung on different portions of the room. But then, how many know to use it? In the event of an actual emergency, whether they can use it, whether they can even lift a 5 kg cylinder. So now these are all the things they have to be trained on. So evacuation procedures will also specify who will be in charge of evacuation, who will be in charge of protecting human life, who will be in charge of shutting down systems if it is possible. So all those things are specified in the evacuation procedures. Then identifying the people responsible and their contact information, it should be readily available, like your incident response team or IRT, your software or hardware vendors, the insurance company, contacting the recovery facility, your suppliers, offsite media, human relation people or HR people, the law enforcement if the nature is serious or if it is a serious security threat. The document should have step-by-step procedures.
And required resources for recovery and continued operations. With this, we will end this session. We'll meet you again in the next session.